Welcome to another episode of Gracias. Come again. Today we are sitting down with award-winning writer, director, producer, and actor, Elaine Del Valle. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. I feel very welcomed.
Bienvenida. We were just listening to some salsa. We had to turn it off. But how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling really special and great. We had a great screening last night in New Jersey with Latinos of Montclair organized a beautiful screening for us, and
And
so
when
I'm
we're talking,
feeling it.
when we're
I'm
talking
feeling it all.
screening, we're talking Brownsville Bread, the movie that is everywhere right now. Talk to me.
Yes. Yes, so Brownsville Bread is based on my true coming of age story.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started telling the story, it was actually in the form of a one woman play.
Mm-hmm.
And it was there as the actor doing the one woman play that I started to understand the value of my story, not just to me as the artist, learning about myself and really deepening that, but also through the audience's eyes and understanding the impact that it was having on them. So that's now being able to have it in a film and, making it more widely available to people. It's just very special to me.
What happened that all of a sudden my entire timeline was Brownsville Bread? The movie poster, movie screenings, people at the movie theaters and buy tickets. Like, what happened? Because the movie is not brand new. Can you give me a little background on the movie?
The movie came out actually in September 19th. It came out into theaters, the feature film.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, it was actually a short film. We had made it into a short in 2021, and we put it on the festival circuit, and it got into like some of the biggest film festivals in the world, like South by Southwest. We won an audience award there. So when you say it's not new, yeah, it's not new, the idea of Brownsville Bread, but
Yeah.
the feature film is actually, it just came out in September in theaters. And
So the short film was one film, and then the feature film that we see now is like an extended version, or is brand new?
it's a brand new and extended version. So
Okay.
we include some parts of that
Okay.
first portion that we filmed, and then we also include all the newer stuff. So everything when this is a coming of age story. So we first see Elaine at the character of Elaine, my character, at 8 years old, and then we see her again as a teenager. So the short film was all her at 8 years old.
I get it, and I can see where the break is now.
Yes.
Now that you're saying that, I can see the character change. I see where it went.
And the break, well, that's how you have to make independent film, right? They told me, how do you make an independent film? You have to make it any way you can. And in this case, I had to do it in pieces because I had to be able to afford the pieces. It's truly an independent movie.
Kudos to you, man. Like,
Thank you,
honestly.
thank you.
And it was so well done. I'm talking videography. I'm talking costume. And it was so real. As a born and raised New Yorker, I always have that eye of like, that's not New York. That's not legitimate. That's not what it's supposed to look like. And it just felt kind of like my life story at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It was legit.
Thank you so much. I'm getting that a lot from different audience members. Like, it feels like my story. And that feels to me like, very often when we are dealing with trials and tribulations, we feel so alone in them.
Oh, wait.
Very much alone, especially now in this culture, in this day and age where everybody's on their social media platforms. But this movie is making them feel seen, heard, and less alone. Like, wow, that could have been me. And then understanding that their story has value and that they don't have to hide it, that they could bring it to light and it will bring light to others.
And it just feels beautiful, as a kid that grew up in low-income housing, that's something we don't really talk about because we're like, oh, that's in the past, that's when we didn't have it. And to see it, it's just like, it's so many of us that live this way. It shouldn't be embarrassing, and it shouldn't be something that we hide. And it can be beautiful also.
Yes.
The way
well,
you painted it, I just loved it.
To me, everywhere you look is beautiful. If it's in Brownsville, the people, the culture, the buildings, it's all beautiful. You just have to find the beauty. You have to be looking for the beauty to find it. And, that's what really made it blow up, is like the things that made it feel so real for so many people. It became like a little cultural phenomenon. And we are so, as Latinos, we hardly see ourselves, especially when we see ourselves, we're not depicted in the way that we see ourselves and the places that we see, the way that others depict us, it reduces us.
In many ways. Yeah.
Yes. So even though this story is about, living in the projects and it has all of these things that we want to protect ourselves and our culture from, actually for me, protecting it is actually telling it like it is. That's protecting the truth, and it's allowing it to live fully instead of reduced to one thing or another.
It's beautifully told. And if you're listening to this episode right now and your family struggled with, let's say, addiction, poverty, was, plagued by, HIV, AIDS, where you sent, back to the island for being a troubled kid, as punishment. These are all things that are there that so many people, not just me, but everyone around me experience. And we don't get to see that on the big screen. I thank you for, touching on so many different things.
Thank you. Well, I'm just trying to tell the story to show a journey, and it's really a father-daughter story and a girl's coming of age into her own identity and
Yeah.
and all that. And when I was telling it, like I didn't tell it with any intended purpose, like, oh, it's going to be taken this way or that way. Because when I first started telling it, it was like, I'm afraid to tell it.
Well, you touched on so many topics. Even something that resonated with me a lot is you being such a young girl and being targeted by older men in your hood.
Oh.
Like, that's sensitive as hell, but it's real. It happened to all of us. You'll be 12, 13 years old, and it's like a grown man is like trying to approach you or trying to engage you. I love you for touching on that topic. It's so real, and people just don't talk about it. And as women now, we look back and like, I was targeted.
Mm-hmm.
I was being groomed by a grown drug dealer on a block. Like, how fucking foul is that?
It happens all the time. And actually, there are things that I left out of the movie because I wanted to stay on track. But one of my first movies that I ever made, a short film, was called Me 3.769. And the character was Elaine, and the mother was Carmen, and the aunt, and all that. And it shows something very much of what you and I are speaking of right now. But I kept that out of the story because I'm like, oh, God, I can't add everything. I was like, let me just try to make an amalgamation through this character of Goji. But you're right. Like, I do remember when I was as young as 11 years old, walking down the street on Belmont Avenue, and they're like, mira, mami, yo,
I'm a
baby."
child.
Yes, you're a child, and that's still happening to you. And in this film, you do see a character that is, you can see that it's grooming.
Oh.
But when you're a child, you don't see that it's grooming. You see a compliment as like, oh, somebody just complimented me. And when you are struggling and it's the first time in your life that somebody made you feel a certain way, that's very inviting. They say, comiendo cerebro.
Claro,
right?
que
Like
te
they're-
estaba comiendo el cerebro.
Yes.
Un tigre viejo, a grown-ass man selling drug, bitches on a block, and all of a sudden, why are you showing attention to a 12 or 13-year-old? Like, you got problems, my guy.
They know why. They know why because they see the vulnerability. It happens today where they're getting young people through social media.
Oh, yeah.
It's human trafficking is real, and that was definitely a path that exists somewhere, everywhere. That I wanted to make sure that this film reveals all of the pitfalls. Somebody told me, like, you were navigating all the mines. And I was like, you know what? When I was writing this movie and the book, I was going to name it Navigating the Mines because that's how I felt that it was. Like, everywhere you turn, there is a way for you to fall. And this is about just like almost falling so that people could actually see it clearly.
When I saw you take that laundry bag, I don't want to give so much away, but I was just like, this could go so wrong.
Yes.
Like, this could
go
just
so wrong.
screw her whole life.
Yes.
When I saw you walk into that crack den, I'm like, this could be the end of her life. Like, you dodged so much.
So many bullets, yes. And that's the life of, I mean, it exists everywhere, but in Brownsville, you just go outside. You don't have to be looking for trouble. Trouble finds you.
This is your environment.
That's right. It's the environment. But it does happen everywhere. So I don't want to discount like only neighborhoods.
Chicago.
Yes. And everywhere, even in the wealthier neighborhoods.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure.
There are kids starting trouble out there and kids get in trouble and they get into drugs and it happens everywhere.
Now, you started as an actor, correct?
Yes.
How long were you in the actor circuit before you decided, I'm going to write, I'm going to direct, I want to produce?
Well, let me say that I'm still an actor.
Okay.
I still act.
All right.
I actually still act on the show Dora the Explorer.
Oh, you're the voice. I saw that.
Yes. And many other things. But so I was acting and I was primarily only being seen for commercials and print stuff. And it's very frustrating when you're studying acting and you're trying to be a serious actor, and all they see you as is like, you know, the 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 girl at the restaurant taking a bite of something, and that's all you're allowed to do.
You were in The
So
Sopranos. You were in Donnie Brasco. I saw
yes,
that.
yes, yes.
You have a lot of credits. Like you've been acting forever.
Yes, I just was in Queens for ABC. I was on The Resident for NBC. So yeah, I've been acting a long time and I love it. But when you're acting, you're really waiting for people to give you a role. You're waiting to get that role or
A
the
callback,
opportunity,
right?
the audition, and you know all the people that are out there also struggling for those same roles or striving toward them. So I learned not to take it personally, but at the same time, I need to take command of my own career. So that's what actually started me writing
Yeah.
was just let me just tell a story, and it's a one woman show. So I don't have to worry about anybody giving me the opportunity. I actually self produced it myself downtown at the Puerto Rican Poets Cafe after I was done with the festival circuit on it. And it changed my life because people saw it and then they saw me. And then they were intrigued, especially because my outside did not match my life and my upbringing. So that really was like, wow, I can't believe I just saw this. I want to work with you every day, but I can't work with an actor every day. What else do you do? And then that's what really started shifting everything.
What do you enjoy most? Is it writing? Is it producing? Is it directing? Is it being an actor?
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't love producing so much, but I'm a very good producer because I'm really resourceful. I love directing because I feel like I get to bring out in other actors what I wish other people could have brought out in me. I get to put them on a platform and give them all of the complexity of the roles, especially if I'm writing them. I mean, dream is somebody just says, what do you want to write and direct next and produce next? And let me do that because I will come up with multiple stories and actually be working with, I can gather up a crew that can work full time with me and we can create incredible things at very fair, reasonable pricing, budgets, and they can be great. So that's my dream is to be able to direct them, but also in a way be a part of the production team as well, and write them or at least have a hand in the writing of them.
How important is it for you to, give visibility and a voice to us, the unheard voices, the Latinos, the inner city kids? Like, is that the main goal and the main focus, or did this just happen to happen because you told your story?
I learned so much through telling my story, and it is so important that we are reflected. So there is a term that deals with the psychological erasure of people if they're not seen in media. So Latinos are almost 20% of the US population, but we're less than 5% of the time seen on screens. And what that does is that's actually telling people and showing people that we don't matter. We don't matter because we're not seen. And if you look at the Black community, that's really like killing it in the entertainment world, right? They're 14 or 16% of the population, and they're over-indexing like over 30% of the time. So their stories are being valued more. And so for me, to have a Latina as a leading her own story, leading the entire story, being the hero of her own story, and for you to be able to see her larger than life in a theatrical screen, that to me, I understand the psychological impact of that. And that's why that matters to me so much. To see it on any screen is fantastic, but to actually see it in a theater where you're very large, that to me is incredibly powerful.
And it does. It feels good. And, I've made it a mission, for the past few years that, watch our movies, watch our plays, visit, we're having an opening, whatever it is. Because you are right. It's just like, we have our Black brothers and sisters. It's like movies. They have the BET Awards. They have BET Channel. They're all over and there's so many shows. The visibility is there. Our visibility, as hard as we're working, because don't get me wrong, there's tons of, Latino creatives, especially here in New York, whether it be theater, TV, like we're working hard. Now what's happening is, are these networks picking us up? And if they're picking us up, are we staying on? I feel like that's the bigger problem.
Well, I feel like they're giving us like one role. Like one of us is in there, we're covered. They're like checking a box with us right now. They're not letting us be a part of the whole story. And so I feel like that is what's happening. That's why whenever I write something, my protagonist is always actually a Latina. And she's a smart Latina. Whether she's rich, poor, whatever, she's smart. And she is always trying to better herself and striving
Striving,
and
yeah.
reaching. You know, so for me, that's really important to be able to show that aspect of Latinidad, especially for women.
There's so many misconceptions when it comes to us, Latinos, especially with what's happening right now, the way we're being, villainized and just targeted. It's become kind of like a job for us to undo the damage that's being done by the media.
I'm like, I have to take a breath of that because it's so disheartening, especially because, it felt, I have been around a long time. And every time something pops off that's really great, it feels like we're getting somewhere. And then, but I've been around a long time, so I know that the getting somewhere is just, it's temporary. So the idea for me is just like to never stop doing that. And a good friend of mine, Andrea Navarro, she was on Jane the Virgin. She played Gina Rodriguez's mom in that. And she said to me, Elaine, you really have to be a horse with blinders on. And that is just to keep doing your thing, keep forward in motion, stay focused on what it is that you're doing. Don't worry about everything around you, and what you're doing needs to be a voice that champions everything around you. But you can't let things drag you down. You can't get so emotional and hurt and hate that you have to love more than you hate. If you're hurt by something, you have to face that with love and hit it with love, with like a baseball bat of love. And that's what I try to do. So whatever's happening, that's what I really strive to do, is hit it with a baseball bat with love. And the only way that I know how to make an impact is through story, because you could tell people and argue with people.
Oh
None
no,
of that matters.
we're not doing that.
Through story, you can find them, you can get to them in ways that they didn't expect it. And that's what I'm after.
And I love that. You're using creativity, you're using positivity, you're being impactful, as opposed to Michelle Obama. What was it? When they go low, we go high.
Yeah.
You're just like, listen, I'm gonna let my work speak for itself.
Yes.
Speaking of your work, Princess Cut.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I love that. So, Princess Cut is a short film that won me the HBO Latinx Director Award. And it's actually a film that is not based on anything that I've lived, which most everything else kind of has been like my brainchild. But a while back, I was very close to getting into a wonderful program called the American Film Institute Directors Women's Workshop. It's a very prestigious program, and I was right down to the wire. And when I didn't get it, I asked them why, and they said, "We love your story, we love your movie, but we love the movie that you want to make in this program, but it felt like that's the only movie that you wanted to make." And I'm like, should I come into this program acting like I don't want to make the movie that I'm trying to make in this program?
I'm confused.
But anyway, I understood what it was that they're saying, and I took the note. And that week, I was in Los Angeles, and I went to the Hollywood Fringe Festival, where I saw a play by a woman named Demetria Karaman, who grew up on Long Island, and I loved it. It was called Bitch Brow, and it took place in the Hamptons. And it was about two women from opposite sides of the economic spectrum who find themselves at an all-night laundromat, and they find common ground. And then one of them winds up dead. But the play was so good and so funny, and it was very long. And right after I saw it, I went right up to the writer, and I was like, listen, I'm a writer-director. I just made this short film. I got it onto HBO. It's called Me 3.769. I really want to make impactful stories. I've never found another story like this that I want to make so much, because I understand this. Like, I'm living on Long Island. I understand the Hamptons. I understand the idea of the haves and the have-nots and how people look at you and what the expectations are. And I feel like this story says all that, and that's already on brand for me. And I really want to make this. I'll write it. I'll produce it. I'll direct it.
You were like, I
I'll
got
do
this.
everything. I'll cast it. And she said, it's optioned. So every year I would actually call her in the summertime for 2 years. Every year I would call her and I said, "Is it still optioned?" She said, "Yes, they just renewed the option." And then the following year I asked her and she said, "They're not going to renew the option. You can have it." And then we worked on it together, and then she got pregnant, and I started working on it, more on my own, and I turned it into what became Princess Cut, and I'm so proud of it because it just, I took the note from very prestigious program about, what they were telling me about, telling other stories, because I want to be a director. I want to tell any story, and this Princess Cut really helped me to do that. And the fact that it was so well received really helped me to prove them wrong and prove that I can do it kind of to myself as well.
And I love that for you.
Thank you.
And Princess Cut is on HBO Max.
It's on HBO Max.
So if you're listening and you got HBO Max, make a note in your phone and watch Princess Cut.
Yes. It's
Also,
a 20-minute short film starring Lauren Rivera, who is also on...
she was great in it.
She is in the Terrifier movies. So before she was the star of the Terrifier movies, she was the star of Princess Cut for me.
You got to go watch it.
Yes.
As soon as this movie starts, you're going to feel it. It's like it gives you a certain feeling. You're like, oh, something's not going to go right here. Also, Brownsville Bread is on Amazon Prime.
It's on demand right now.
Okay.
So you can find it on Apple. You can find it on
nice.
Amazon Prime. And I'm sure other places as well on demand. So yeah, I'm excited to be able that people can share it. We put it at a price out there that people can, definitely afford it.
Oh, of course.
They can watch it with their families, and it's a conversation starter.
It really is. I feel like if you 80s, 90s, like this is going to be your story. I'm telling you right now, whatever it is, it's going to connect in one way or another. Whether it be the day your mother blew up the fact that you got your period, whether it be the fact that they used to ship your ass back to Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic, whatever it is, you're going to connect. You're going to connect. And I connected probably like in 9 different ways. Mm-hmm. The story with you and your dad, very relatable. My father also went to jail. He also was a drug user. He also passed away in the 90s. I was just like, Elaine is telling my story. What is going on here?
Yeah, that's so many people come to me and say that, but in different facets. So I remember when we premiered at the Los Angeles Latino International Film Festival, shout out to Lalif and Axel Caballero, who has supported me so much, and everybody over there. But when we were there, I'll never forget my cinematographer, who's a white guy. His name is Dustin Ward. He's an incredible artist, lives out in Brooklyn. And his family came from San Francisco, and his 14-year-old nephew was there. And at the end of the movie, he looked over at his 14-year-old nephew, and the 14-year-old nephew was crying. And he was like, wow, like of all the people, I didn't expect this from you. And he said, I related so much to the sibling relation, to Elaine taking care of her aunt, her older aunt that was special needs. And he had a similar situation. So for him, that's what connected. For another woman, she left the theater crying so hard because she couldn't get over Abuelita in Puerto Rico and the love.
Oh my God,
and
stop. You're going to make me cry because the difference between the two abuelas, I was like, we've lived it.
Yes, we have lived it. And if you miss your grandmother, if you miss your father, these people that are not around, this movie pays such an homage to the love that's there, and even through the struggle. We talk about Manny's struggles and his addiction and his illness and all that, but that's what people want to focus on. But this movie focuses on the love between the father and the daughter, and this man's struggle for redemption. And the redemption comes. And it's so beautiful, and through song, that's another really special part of the movie.
That moment, I was like, I feel like crying now just thinking about it. It was just the way the connection was made through music. I was like, wow, this woman is brilliant.
Thank you so much. That is a huge shout out to Edwin Vasquez, who wrote all of Manny's original songs, including Semilla de Fe, which now I just submitted it for Oscar category in Best Original Song
That
and the
song is
Golden
beautiful.
Globes. Because I'm like, why not us? You know, we got to be in it to win it. I know my chances are slim. I know that. But you know what? So what? I'm going to do this. And people who are looking at other things and other people are finally going to see and hear us. And that's important.
And we've got to take chances. You know, I've interviewed this young lady. Her name is Jay Noah, and she's from Dominican Republic, and she still lives there. And she's 3 times Grammy nominated. She doesn't understand how this is happening. And she's living in San Cristobal in Santo Domingo. She comes from like a poor family, and she's 19 years old, and she already got nominated for 3 Grammys.
Wow.
Exactly. And she's just a humble girl from Dominican Republic making music. So we got to be in it to win it.
Yes, you have to be. And you have to not let anybody, you know, take you away from that, because they'll say like, oh, you know, it might be a waste of your time because they already have who they're. Okay, I understand that. But if I listened to that and I thought about all of the barriers that were in front of me before I started making stuff, I would never make anything. I would be frozen. I would still be that girl looking out of her window wishing that I could go outside. And now I am outside.
You really outside, because I can't scroll my feed without either seeing you doing an interview, somebody talking about your movie, somebody promote. And I've got to say this, Latinos, we have rallied behind you. We're championing behind you, like whether it be actors, producers, directors. I see everyone supporting this film in a way that I haven't seen anyone support a project in a very long time.
Now you're going to make me cry right now.
I want you
because
to know that.
I know that, and I feel it. I feel it from you, and I feel it from the community, and the impact that the film is having on them, especially that it's an independent film made with like no money, just like over 3 years. It took us 3 years to make this film, to afford getting it in the can. That is not normal, but it just goes to show you, you know, the faith that you have to keep, and everybody rallying behind me and then telling other people, because I make it very clear when audiences, when we were only in theaters in Manhattan, I'll never forget, the audiences would come and I would try my best to be there as much as possible. And afterward, whether they had scheduled the director talk back or not, I would just get up afterward and say, there's a director talk back at the end of this. And then I would get up and I would talk to them for as long as the theater would let me, until they had to clean the theater. And I would make sure that people knew, like, there are influencers right now that maybe because you saw it on an influencer's feed that brought you here, because we don't have money for advertising. So maybe you saw it on an influencer's feed. And like you're an influencer, right? And people watch you and they listen to you and they take your advice. However, I make it clear to the audience that we are all influencers.
We are.
If you're wearing a pair of shoes that you love and they're so comfortable, and you tell your mother and your sister and your brother, guess what? They're going to have that same faith and they're going to want to get those shoes too. And that's what it is to the movie. So I make it clear to the audience. So share it with your neighbor. One guy that was helping us on production design, he's a white man that I went to acting school with. And he said to me, Elaine, you're not going to believe this. My neighbor, I saw her passing in the hallway, and she said to me, oh my God, I just have to, I don't have any time, but I have to tell you, I just saw this movie, Brownsville Bred, and he started to laugh.
That's amazing.
Because he's like, here's this older white woman telling a white man that, you have to go see this movie. So, maybe she heard me say it, or maybe she just felt it. There were other people who just saw us on Rotten Tomatoes. We're 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, 100%. So there are other people that come because they see that rating. We're also 100% on the popcorn meter. So They see it and they're like, okay, how bad can it be? Let me give it a chance. The other day when we put up for the Golden Globes, the woman helping us do the email blast for, we're having a press conference for the Golden Globes. And, I'm dealing with her and I'm like, okay, so I have to create a 100 character. What's the subject matter going to be? So it was something like,
Like a blurb.
Latina directed independent film for your consideration press conference, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on the phone, and she said, "So is this your subject?" I said, "Yes." She said, "I like that. Do you know that it's true? If it's true?" I said, "Yes, I am the Latina director, and it is an independent film."
I'm
She was
dead.
like, "What? You are?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." And then later on that night, when we had finished the transaction, she told me that she and her husband had put on my film and that they loved it. Same thing with the so this is interesting. I hope it's interesting to your audience and to you, but it is for me. I'm a total movie geek. So when you're making a movie, you have to get, if it's going to go theatrical, you have to get a rating. And you do it through the Academy, but it's the Academy raters.
Got it.
And the raters are actually made up of members who are parents. So when you see a rated R, a PG-13, a G, or a PG, it's because parents who are members have seen it and voted what it needs to be. So when we were first being rated, we were originally rated as R, and it was very important to me that it be brought down to a PG-13. And I said, "How can I do that?" They said, "You have to get rid of a couple of the curse words. We'll let a couple slide."
I know
but
exactly
have to
where you
get
got rid of a curse word, but
Yeah, I
continue.
know, I know. But he said, you have to get rid of, and I was like, "Great, I'm going to go back into the edit. I'm going to do that because it means that much to me." So they said, "Okay, when you're done with that, we'll rate it again and we won't charge you again." Great. They rated it. They rated it PG-13. And then he wrote me a letter and he said, "I want you to know that this is extremely rare, but all of the raters wanted you to know how much they love your movie."
Wow.
Okay, now what that says to me is that these are parents who saw the movie, who probably are not Latino, and who said, "This is a valuable movie to show to my kids, and PG-13 is the right rating for it," and they loved it. And like little things like that, it just keeps me going. It just it just keeps injecting me with like this fuel to just go on. And
I know
and
you're
let me tell
pumped
you, it's
right now.
hard, girl.
Now I know you're pumped right now. You've got to be hype.
I'm hyped, but I also have my feet very firmly planted on the ground
I know.
because I've been at, I've done a lot in my career.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I get like a nice role, I'm like, wow, I'm going to be on I was on Queens on ABC with a recurring guest
I saw
star.
that.
And I was like, wow, this is going to be it. Right. But there have been other times I sold an original pilot that I wrote to CBS, to the network CBS.
That's
And I'm like,
huge.
it's huge. But then it's not greenlit. It's not, it's not done. They paid me to write it and everything, but then it didn't get done. I was on a movie set for 3 weeks about to direct a $3 to $5 million budget film. We had the cast, everybody was coming in, and then something happened. They sent us all home.
Ay, Elaine,
Yeah, so
please.
I have my feet planted on the ground, but it doesn't stop me from striving. But also, what it makes me do is to keep doing other things as well, and not count on these other opportunities. Just keep on creating, and that's how I keep the momentum. Last night, one of the audience members said to me, "How do you keep the momentum?" I'm like, "Because right now, all you're seeing is Brownsville bread. It doesn't mean that that's all I'm doing."
Well, I know you're already in 2026.
I am actually in the middle of December. I'm going to have a really beautiful announcement
Okay.
about a project that I've been working on. I'm not allowed to say anything yet, but it's really special. And then I'm working on something else next. So look, I don't know what's going to happen, but that is how I keep the momentum. Small victories. And just checking something off my list. I make a list every single day, and whatever I have to accomplish, even if it's like, pay the bill. Like,
Where do you make your list? I make it on a Post-it. Where do you make your list?
I have a book that is of great quotes,
Okay.
important quotes. You could get it on Amazon, and at the bottom of every page, it's a line little
Box?
like a box of pages, and at the bottom of every page is an inspirational quote. And so that's what I love, because I love to read the quotes every day and look through them and be like, okay. And then I have to rewrite the whole list. Like once I'm done crossing off a bunch and there's still couple more left. So I get through that. I finished the whole pad last year and it's 1,000 pages.
That's why I got to upgrade my situation, because a post-it every day, it sounds kind of ghetto compared to what Elaine just described right here.
Get the book. And I should not be ripping out the stuff from the book, but when it's done,
It's
I
okay.
rip it out. But I should actually be keeping those things to see all the stuff that I've done in the course of that book.
Now, speaking of stuff that you've done, can we talk Dora the Explorer? I don't know why I love this
Yes.
so much.
Yes, so
Your
oh
character?
my God, yes, many many years ago, many moons ago, before you ever heard the name Dora the Explorer.
I feel like it's been forever in our
It
lives,
has
though.
been
Come
forever.
on.
It's been, I can't even remember when I started, but when I started that series is when I quit bartending.
In New York,
In New York,
okay.
I used to cocktail waitress, bartend, anything. But when I started that show, I felt confident that I could make my health insurance. It wasn't going to be an issue anymore. And I was right. So I did the show from the time that it started until the time that it ended. It was like 11 seasons or something
And
like
you
that.
were Val the Octopus?
Val the Octopus, along with many other characters.
Oh, really?
Yes. And then,
How does one do that?
I-
With one voice.
well,
You're
you
an
know,
actress.
you
Actor.
become whatever. But it's so much fun, and the people were fantastic. And about 2.5, 3 years ago, I got a call from them again, and they said, guess what? We're starting up Dora again. We're doing it a little bit differently, and we'd love for you to bring back your character.
What did you think?
I was so happy, especially because now I could record it from my closet. I could do it from anywhere. And it was just really, it's been really special. I just recorded an episode like 2 weeks ago, and they call me in and I do like a few episodes at a time. It's really been great. And also through that show, through many things in my life, but through that show, through one person on that show, knowing that I was also casting the characters that I was filming, they asked me for casting help on a new show called Alma's Way before it was a thing. And I said, yes, I will help. And they said, if you help, we want to recommend you to be the casting director of Alma's Way, which is a Fred Rogers
Nice.
production. And I did the work, and they recommended me, and I got the job.
Okay.
And it's been 3 seasons. So we just finished our 3rd season of Alma's Way, and I'm the casting director of Alma's Way. And I was just nominated by the Casting Society of America for Best Casting in an Animated Series for an Artios Award. So,
Congratulations to
yes,
you,
thank
man. I
you.
love that. And, give us a little bit more about Alma's Way, the Latino shows, anything that our listeners can put their kids onto or themselves. Where can they watch it?
Yes, yes.
What-
So Alma's Way is on PBS Kids. It's a Fred Rogers production that was actually created by Sonia Manzano, who everybody knows as Maria on Sesame Street.
I love her.
She actually has a doc out right now all about her
Love her.
life, so you got to go check that out too. But it's basically a little Puerto Rican girl in the Bronx,
Boom.
and her family and her brother and her dog and her friends, and it's bringing all of the culture that is New York, the melting pot of culture that's in New York, into this show that you can see. It's the perfect setting for it. And she's the star of it. And the star of it, the girl who actually voices that, is actually the girl who stars in my movie, Summer Rose Castillo.
Look at that. Full
Yes.
circle moment. I
Yes.
love this.
So I first cast her in Alma's Way.
Mm-hmm.
She's so brilliant. And then I cast her in Brownsville Bred. So I gave her first job ever. And then I also gave her first on-screen job. And she's the lead.
Look at this. Look at all this, Latina connection, entwining, and changing the course of each other's lives, per se.
There's more than that, because her mother, Summer Rose Castillo, who's Bronx-born Puerto Rican girl, her mother is April Hernandez Castillo. April Hernandez was the lead actress, I should say the co-lead actress, or the best supporting actress, or the supporting actress opposite Hilary Swank in the movie Freedom Riders.
That's a good movie.
So this little girl has like this culture of acting and Latinidad and being on screen from her mother. And I'm just so blessed to have worked with not just Summer Rose, but when you work with a child, you're working with the whole family.
You must.
Yes. So the girls that all the siblings that play in the movie, Summer Rose plays 8-year-old Elaine, but there's a little scene with a 4-year-old version. That's Summer's sister Lila.
Yeah.
And then Natalia Lares, who plays teenage Elaine, her parents were incredible, incredibly supportive. And then Kevin Chacon, Neo Vela, Camora Cuadrado, those kids actually all grew up during the process of making Brownsville bread. So they started in 2021 as like these little kids, and then you see them again in 2023.
They're the
and
same kids?
Same kids.
Are you kidding me?
Yes. The same kids.
That is absolutely amazing.
It's so wonderful. And, you know, my producer said it best recently. She was bragging about it. When we were at La Leaf, you know, we're a New York story. We have New York actors. We couldn't afford to fly people down.
We're the best anyway.
All of this, yeah, all of the siblings, their parents, the characters in Brownsville Bread that were based in New York and Puerto Rico, they flew themselves out to La Leaf on their own dime to be there for the movie. And that just shows the family that we created through the making of Brownsville Bread. Like, you see my family up there, but the people who brought it to life was another family that we created through the filmmaking process.
Comunidad.
And empowering them to see themselves as creators, as directors, as writers, to be able to continue in this journey.
What you're out here doing is absolutely incredible. And speaking to you now, you know, I have even more respect for you. I came into this already like writer, director, casting. I knew you were a casting director. I was actor. I was like, wow, how many hats can one person wear and do it so nicely?
Well, I say I do one thing. I do entertainment.
There you go.
I fill in the blanks wherever I need. In every independent feature or any independent project, you're usually wearing multiple hats. Many people wear multiple hats. One of my producers, Adriana Acevedo Lovett, she was my assistant director also. She was one of my producers, and she was an actress in it as well. You know, so we do my location scout in Puerto Rico, Luis Mendez. I was like, dude, you are so great. Can you please be my Coquito man? And he said yes.
That is what we
so
do.
Great.
I remember the Coquito man.
Yeah, and he was so great. Cute. So, you know, I feel people, like I connect with them genuinely. And just like with my actors, when I have an actor, I don't try to make them into the role. I try to merge the role with them so that they pop in a way that feels so great for their careers and for the movie that it becomes undeniable. And that's what I try to do with people in general. So people say, I want to help you. I'm like, okay, I don't know how you can help, but let me find out. Let's find out together what you think. Because the minute that you tell somebody exactly what you need, don't be like broad about it. You know the size of that fence that you need. You know it needs to be 5 foot high and 4 foot wide. You need to tell them exactly what you need. Put that energy out there, and people will come back at you with exactly what you need.
The universe is conspiring to help us.
Yes.
But you just got to put it out there. I say that all the time.
You don't know. The pivots that we have to do in filmmaking, especially the pivots that have to happen, and you roll with the punches. And thank God, through the experience of having done it, I can tell you that those roles and those directions ends up being some of the best parts. And so when that happens now these days, I understand. I don't fret. I'm not panicked. I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure it out. And I do. And I always feel like this was for the best afterwards. So that's what I try to keep in mind.
You always make it happen. Another movie that's all over my timeline, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Have you had the time?
You know, I had the time to put it on, and I started watching it. I look at things very differently than other people.
That's why I wanted to get your perspective on it.
I didn't finish watching it, so I really do have to finish watching it.
We got to come back to this conversation. This is going to be over the drink.
And it has some of my, incredible actors that I have not been able to get out of my mind. Like I really want to work with that actor. For me, it's like I always feel like I wanted to direct that instead.
You're like, I can't even watch this because
So
that
for
should have been
me,
me.
I don't know. It's not touching those same things. Like I know other people are big fans of it, but for me, so far not. But I'm gonna give it another
Give
chance.
it another. The work felt so brilliant. I'm talking like costume, just everything felt. I was like, how does one brain? Obviously, it's not just one brain, but how do you conceptualize something and deliver it like that?
Well, that's that I have to say, Guillermo del Toro. I mean, he's incredible. So the imagery that he puts out is undeniable. The people that he works with to collaborate to make it all happen is definitely synergy. And the budgets that he gets is
Well, yeah, well, that
yeah.
budget, I
That's
can
what I
tell that.
need.
She's
That's
like,
what I need in my
she's like,
life.
you give me that budget, I'm gonna
Yeah.
top that.
Well, so like that's undeniable, but I look at movies very differently, and I often can't stay in the story
Really?
because I'm too busy looking at the other things and like just trying to learn from it.
Yeah.
It's like a textbook for me. I'm looking at it like an equation that I need to take apart in order for me to put into my work moving forward. And I do take a lot of references from a lot of other films. Whenever I'm making a movie, I storyboard everything, or at least the parts that I feel like need to be relayed very succinctly to my creative team. Like this is what I'm looking for, whether that be old style photos of like my apartment where I used to live, or reference photos from lifts from movies that I've admired. I even sometimes show it to the actors because a picture tells 1,000 words.
All you need.
Yeah. So if I just show them like this is what I'm gonna see, and they'll look at that actor and grab that emotion from that actor and marry it with what it is that they're saying, it helps them. I try to be the director that I always wanted to have for the actors that I work with.
What is your one movie that you could watch a million times? You've got to have one.
I have many movies.
Well,
that I
give me a
could watch
couple.
a
I
million
want to see if they're the
times.
same ones that
I mean,
I'll be watching. Come on.
A Star is Born.
Oh, that movie.
All
heart.
of them, from Barbara Streisand's one, but also the one with Bradley Cooper
Lady Gaga,
and Lady Gaga. I thought that was just
That movie's brilliant.
so beautifully done, and it's a movie with music like mine. Like it's not a musical, but it's a movie with music, and I love movies with music as a part of them because that was ingrained in my childhood. Like that was my dad. My dad was music. So for me, a movie like that is very special. Also, there's a movie, I talk about it all the time, Boys Don't Cry. And I talk about it because it's not that I want to see it over and over again, but it's the impact that it had on me, that I felt like I was punched in the gut. And it recounts a true story. And when I first started watching it, I thought it was a documentary. It felt so real. And Hilary Swank stars in it. And Kimberly Pierce directed it. And
That's a great movie,
it
too.
just made my heart sink. And I don't want to watch it again because it's that powerful. What I watch a lot is like, if I want to be inspired and cry sometimes, maybe Erin Brockovich.
Oh, that's a classic.
Yeah, I love, my mom used to work for attorneys. So that's a pilot that I recently wrote as well, how my mom got a job working for attorneys. This woman who had like no education and she started working for attorneys and really became the right-hand person of the attorneys and really made an impact in the office and getting people to open up about their stories and share. So Erin Brockovich, when I first watched that, I really felt very close to it because it felt like it was my mom.
You saw her
Yeah,
story
and my
being
mom
told.
was the person dealing with like the lawsuits that were involving in the projects. When I was a kid, uplifting story, not uplifting story. That's not true. But when I was a kid, I won't even say what happened, but something really bad happened to a 12-year-old girl in my building, and my mom helped to get them a settlement that I don't want to say that it could help because nothing could ever help, but maybe get the people some help that they needed to help them come through the trauma. And so my mom was like that person. So yeah, I love that movie. It makes me feel like powerful, strong. See a woman with like kids and all these odds stacked against her, just like making her own way. And whether people want to believe in her or not, she makes it happen. And then eventually they believe in her. And that's why I love that story so much.
That those are three solid movies. I've seen all three. I can see why you revisit those or love those. But I want to take, the time to just thank you for coming up to New York City today, sitting down with us. But more importantly, I want to thank you for giving us a voice, for telling our stories, for not being afraid to cut right through and, show things that many may view as trauma that shouldn't be shared, but you see it as genuine stories that are going to hit. And making these movies, I
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's healing.
It is.
So I just want you to know that you're going to come out of this movie feeling uplifted, healed, and even prouder than you were to be Latino, and even prouder than you were to have survived whatever it was that brought you to this moment in your life, and to appreciate your family and want to call them and share it with them. So to me, that's what the audience, that's what's bringing all the love for Brownsville bread and all the sharing. And that's what I want the audience to come away with and know, when they put on that movie, that's how they're going to feel at the end of it.
Gracias.
Thank you so much. Thank
Come
you for the
again.
platform.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.